everybody. Nancy Hart, Whole Heart Evolution here. It's Wednesday. It's time for our midweek tune-up. We are in part 3 of our Falls Fertile Fields series, and today we're going to have a quick look at the power of our internal guidance system and how we can gain some greater access to that, particularly if we're a little bit newer at that. Yeah? And if you're older at this, some good lessons for it. Just good, not lessons, good reminders for us, right? We can always... It's a practice. It's a practice. So let me ask you something. Do you have a GPS system in your car? Or maybe it's on your phone. It could be Google Maps. It could be Waze. And do you use it like I do? Not only to take me from point A to point B, and maybe it's new, but also for faster, newer, more efficient ways to get from a point I'm used to going to another point. For me, that's like going from home to doggy daycare. There are 2 ways I can go, and I just look at the roadmap. I consult the roadmap. I consult the navigator to see which way I need to go, right? Well, it's interesting because much like we have the external GPS to get us from point A to point B, we also have an internal navigator. We have an internal GPS system. The navigator, this internal navigator, is called by a lot of different names. Almost as many names as there are as stars in the sky, let's just say. Some of the most common names, we know them by our intuition, our gut. Maybe it's small, still voice. Maybe it's our nonlinear intelligence system. Like I said, I think there are as many names for it as there are stars in the sky. But it's interesting because they all reference the same point, the point within us. This point is a source of intelligence, it's a source of wisdom, and it's a source more than anything of support for us, for you, as you navigate through day-to-day life, as we navigate through our day-to-day life. And the great part is that we get to use this navigation system no matter how large or how small the opportunity is that's in front of us. And we get to consult our navigator. For those of you who may be a little more new to this process, let's just say, new to the idea of an internal navigator, I'd like to offer you a few ways by which you can identify and connect with that personal guidance system that you've got inside yourself. There's a wonderful analogy my teacher Mary offered as kind of an overview. And as we get to know the navigator, it's really like getting to know our best friend's voice on the other end of the phone. We pick up the phone, and yeah, I know with our phones now, we can see the number that's come up, and we're probably making a selection. But more than anything else, if somebody handed us the phone and you hear, "Hey, dude," or "Hey, girl, what's going on?" you probably know it is your best friend without them even having to say, "Hey, it's Ed," or "Hey, it's Bobby Sue." You know who that voice is on the other end of the phone. What we want to do is have that sort of a relationship, that sort of access to our internal guidance system. Now, it's interesting. One of the questions that comes up often is that, Nance, yeah, I've got friends in the world, right? And I know that I start that process by 1, making a choice. I think they're interesting and I'd like to get to know them. And then 2, maybe I'm inviting them for a coffee or for a beer, and then we see if there's a dialogue and we kind of get to know that. How do you do it with something that's internal to you? Well, what I want to offer you as a point of departure are 2 scenarios in which our internal guidance system has bubbled up. They're just 2 scenarios, 2 examples. And I encourage you to think about it and listen to your internal system to see if you remember a scenario where something like this might have happened. And then I'm going to have a couple of hints for you as we go around this. So example number 1, you're the coach of a football team. You want to move your players down the field, and you've got 2 options for the next play that you're going to call. Your assistant coaches are all coming in. They say, "Coach, do this, coach, do that." You've got these 2 options. You've got the data in front of me. You know what you've practiced, and you're hearing something bubble up from inside. And you realize it's your gut talking. And you decide to take just a moment, because this is a really important play. You can go with what you know, or you can listen to your gut and access one more point of information. You listen to your gut, You make the choice of the play, and it's not the one everybody's recommending. It's the choice of this play here. You give it to your quarterback, out you go, and the next thing you know, your players are moving the ball down the field, and you've put yourself in the red zone, and you're ready to score on the next play. Awesome stuff. Another way that perhaps you might have heard this. Say you're in a doctor's appointment. You've received a diagnosis. You are teeing up for what your treatment process might be. You've done your due diligence. Those of you who've allowed to weigh in have weighed in. Okay, great. Okay, fine. And you're sitting there and you're about to pull the trigger and something's whispering to you. Something's whispering to you. You're not, and what it's suggesting, though it may not be in words, it might be more of a sense, is that you're not quite there yet. You take that information, you take that whisper, you take that, perhaps we'll call it intuition, and say, you know something? I'm not quite there yet. And you go back and you get curious about it. And you discover that there was something else in your thought process that you hadn't quite processed through. And you realize that way down deep there was something else going on. You took all that information, you bring it all together, and from there you make an even more empowered choice. Are there scenarios like that for you in your life where you felt that whisper? You've taken the advice that's bubbled up. Maybe it felt like a chance, but ultimately it paid off for you. That's your internal navigator talking. And that's who we have the privilege of getting to know even better. So Nancy, you might be saying at this point, you know, what am I listening for? I can't take it out for a beer or a coffee. Well, maybe you sort of could, but it would definitely be a one-sided conversation. It would be a cheap beer bill. But anyway, how do we get to know what that is? Inside us, we've got a lot of chatter going on in our mind. We know it's inside us. There's a lot of chatter going on, kind of at this level, the upper level here. The Buddhists call it monkey mind. It's kind of our daily life going past us. It's what's on the news and the judgments and something your mother said in the grocery list, and it's all that get going on here. The voice we're looking for, that we're accessing, is much deeper than that. It's much more internalized. What are you listening for? What are you tuning into? The voice you will likely discover, and sometimes it's not a voice at all, more about that in a minute, is quieter. It's deeper. Key is that it's actually guidance versus monkey mind chattering up here. It's typically very calm. It's non-judgmental. And it's very clear. Calm, non-judgmental, and really clear. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's our internal guidance system. It's our co-pilot. And that guidance, we ultimately get to choose whether we follow that guidance or we don't. We call this play or call that play. We make this choice for treatment, or we make another choice for treatment. We take this proposal instead of that proposal. What I will say, in my personal experience with my internal guidance system, is that I reap much better benefits and greater rewards and greater results when I choose to actively engage with it and then generally take the guidance that's provided. One caution I'll offer you, and it's not even a caution, it's just an awareness more than anything else. The voice, as I call it, sometimes and again, this is an internal process, sometimes that voice is not really a voice at all. It might be a whisper in our ear, in our internal hearing. It might be an image that we see. It might be a few words that flash across our mind's eye, across the blackboard of our mind. So the information can come in a variety of ways. It's unique to us, and that's why we want to really begin to establish a rapport with it so we can get to know it better. And it is like our friend. We can pick it up, we can call it at any point that we are looking for some support, that we would like some assistance in making a decision. Now, a couple of things about that. Much like if we pick up the phone and we're talking to a friend, sometimes we get, hey, dude, and it's immediate. Yes? And sometimes we get voicemail. Our internal guidance system, sometimes there's a delay, sometimes there's a pause. Not to worry about that. What we get to know and trust if we're engaging with this is that this is just part of the process. And as we become more and more familiar with this friend, with this navigation system that we have on board with us, we get to trust that what's going to come through is in ultimately our best interest. So I have a challenge for you this week. Try an experiment. Get to know your internal guidance system better. And for those of you who may be listening and have a more developed relationship with that internal guidance system, challenge yourself, double down, challenge yourself to access it even more and in even greater ways. Feel the expansion, feel the benefit, see the results, and more than anything, have fun and play. Because honest to goodness, even our navigation system loves fun. So let us know, go out, go play with this. Let us know how you're doing. Can't wait to hear back. And I will see you next week for part 4 of Fall Fertile Fields. Have a great rest of your Wednesday and have a great week. Go play. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.